Our most popular episode to date is our Business Model Canvas podcast. We briefly covered each of the 9 building blocks of the Business Model Canvas in that podcast. In response to many requests from our audience, we are providing 9 podcast episodes addressing each building block separately in greater depth. The Business Model Canvas, developed by Alexander Osterwalder, is a template often used to develop ideas and a monetization strategy for a startup venture. This episode is the first of 9 and will cover key partners.
Our Favorite Tools for Entrepreneurs podcast addresses tools and concepts that are useful for the launch and growth of entrepreneurial ventures. Your 2 hosts will be Professor Gary Palin and serial entrepreneur Ryan Budden.
Hello, Ryan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastically. What about you?
Having another great day. Things are going well.
Great.
Ryan, today I wanted to talk about the aspect of Business Model Canvas, the building block referred to as key partners.
Sweet.
Key partners refers to a venture having relationships with other companies, entities, or individuals, basically are essential to the success of your business. And those relationships help you create value and deliver products and services to your customers.
Right. I always like to say, who are you relying on? Who's the necessary people that you need to engage with or talk to get whatever product or service to your customer?
People would say, well, why don't I do it myself or through my own company? But by having a key partner, you can leverage resources, you can reduce your cost, you can get access to new markets and be more expedient than if you did it yourself.
And in reality, if you're a startup, you're not going to have every single one of these as an internal source, right? You can't physically accommodate a 50-person team when you're just starting a business.
Exactly. So, for example, you can get access to expertise, or you can license technology of which you couldn't possibly do on your own.
Mm-hmm. Particularly if you're manufacturing or producing any sort of good.
This is an important aspect to look at, and it's often very overlooked by individuals starting with those strategic alliances that they can create.
Yeah, a lot of times when I'm filling this out with people, it's eye-opening. They don't realize that they need to have this many interactions with other people to get their idea to the customer. They think that they can do a lot of it in-house, or they can think their way around a lot of these solutions. They don't realize that it needs to really be a team member or a partner to accomplish that goal.
So when you're looking at developing key partners, what are some of the issues that you consider when you're selecting key partners or approaching potential key partners?
The big issues is, what value proposition can you provide for them if you're expecting something in return? So is it just a financial relationship? Is it someone that you are simply paying to manufacture something? Or is it someone that you're going to have to leverage? So can you provide them with value in exchange, get value back from them? Thinking how you're going to frame that with that key partner will inform how you go after getting them to be part of the business.
There's multiple areas that can be important, but that's an issue that you addressed. What is the value proposition to the customers, and how can you efficiently deliver that value proposition? Then you start looking up, saying, what key partners can assist me in doing that? So, for example, is there a critical supplier or a manufacturer? Manufacturer being I could outsource. Are there service providers that I can leverage?
Mm-hmm. And also what this does is highlight the people and companies you need to have a long-term relationship with. So what can you start to do now to get a better relationship with them, knowing that you're going to be relying on them heavily once you're in true business operations? Is it someone you can meet in person? Is it someone you can form a relationship with outside of just strict business? Thinking about it in that framework often changes your first interaction with them. So if you know it's going to be a long-term thing, it will be a different conversation than if you just need them to print one thing for you.
And if it is something that's absolutely vital that you can't do without, you might want to have multiple partners that can deliver the same entity to you. In other words, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, it's a great thing to think about, to be totally honest. Is there a second at bat and a third at bat if whoever that strategic relationship fails for you?
That also gives them a negotiation ploy. If they know that they are critical to you, they can start increasing whatever pricing they're charging to you. And if it's something that you absolutely need to deliver value, they basically are in charge.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So how do you avoid giving the whole boat to them?
That's why I always look and say, can I have multiple sources for whatever issues? If one has a problem, if even financially, or let's say they have a strike and they can't deliver, or there's some weather issues in their region of the world, do I have a plan B and a plan C? I always try to structure my key partners with that on the critical areas.
I think a lot of businesses have seen that with COVID-19 and supply chain issues. So quality control and supply chain have really affected the list of key partners for people. We've all seen the delays of things, but also when you get that product, how many times have we gotten a product that's 3 months delayed over COVID that was also broken because their quality control just went out the window? Having that list of key partners is critical when things get difficult. And although COVID-19 is no longer here, what's going to be next that does a similar disruption?
And the supply chain is still impacted.
Absolutely. I think it'd be a long time before we get the backlog of items through our supply chain and get back to normal.
From suppliers, manufacturers, and distributors, that can be impacted.
And even technology companies, a lot of people don't see the impact when it's a technology company they're partnering with. What happens when servers go down? It happens rarely, but do you have a way of still connecting with your customer, or did your entire environment just end? Whether that's redundant servers, whether that's backup emails, or not using one supplier for all of your technology needs, just thinking around the framework of you don't have to be delivering a hard good to have key partners.
And you mentioned technology. In my background, when I was at NC State University, we worked with a lot of commercialization of technology. Licensing of technology was a key factor. Mm-hmm. And many startup ventures would license a technology through the university that would have been prohibitive for them, cost prohibitive for them to develop. Mm-hmm. And then a percentage goes to the university, and then the company can commercialize it. That's quite an industry unto itself.
It is. A lot of when I'm working with companies, simply because of the expertise of my consultancy, a big key partner is the development team or the internal development resources. So understanding who's next at bat if the development team, if you have to separate ways from them, if you have internal team members that can pick up some of that slack, or at least have a basic understanding of what's being built so you can continue to support that product before you get it over to a new team.
Investors also can be viewed as a key partner.
As we've said many times, there's a lot of money out there. It matters where it comes from. So I think if you're taking the right money, they are a key partner. They're providing lead revenue, they're providing mentorship or advising that would absolutely put them in the category of a key partner.
Professional services can be another area for key partners. We've spoken in regards to how important to have an attorney that's a key partner with your business, accountant, and also from your personal experience, you do a lot of consulting work, so you're a key partner for many startup ventures.
Many startup ventures, yep. Particularly when there's a compliance or security aspect. They really need that review schedule and things like that oftentimes comes from a fractional person, not a full-time employee.
So the opportunities for key partners is very important in a startup component and can help accelerate the growth of your business, bottom line.
Right. I always find that when I'm filling out a business model canvas, this is the first square that I start with. And as I progress to other squares, I often find myself going back and writing another person, another company on this section.
That's why very often people will use sticky notes in developing the business model canvas, because what you originally write is usually not what is the final version.
Yep. That's the brilliance of the exercise.
Very good. Well, are there any other issues before we wrap up on key partners that you'd like to address, Ryan?
I would just say make sure you've really thought through every angle of the product, because this is really an activity that can start early. You can start forming these relationships to test the waters. The last thing you want is to get gung-ho about marketing and financing and all these other things, and then forget that it's going to take 3 weeks to establish a relationship with one of these people or companies.
Or if you can't develop a key partner on a critical issue, it might not be a viable startup.
Exactly. So don't leave this until the end.
Yes, for sure. Well, that sounds great. Well, I appreciate it, Ryan. You have a very good day.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to our Favorite Tools for Entrepreneurs podcast. As always, you can head over to ProfSpirit.com to check out more resources and courses designed for you, the entrepreneur. Please follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, and others to get the most up-to-date information as it is released.